Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that could literally change how you tackle your daily work. If your attention always feels kind of scattered, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to take a really fascinating piece of text and treat it as a literal blueprint for mastering deep work. Because, this isn't just about trying harder or wishing you had better concentration. It's actually about altering the physical space around you. We're unpacking this concept called the architecture of deep focus. And by the end of this explainer, I promise, you're going to look at your desk, your office, and your whole daily routine in a completely new light. So grab your mental hard hat because we are about to do some serious construction. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to do something for me right now. Just take a quick second, look around your room, your office, or wherever you're sitting right this moment. Look at your desk, look at your screens. Is that space actively helping you achieve your goals? Or is it silently destroying your focus? It's kind of harsh, I know, but it's the exact question our source material forces us to confront today. We're always so quick to blame ourselves for a lack of focus, right? But what if the true culprit is the very room you're sitting in? We really have to tear down our old assumptions about productivity before we can build something new. So here's the core premise we're drawing directly from our source text: becoming an architect of focus. And this terminology is just fascinating to me because an architect doesn't just sit in an empty field and, hope a house appears. They purposefully engineer their surroundings. They draft, they plan, they build with extreme intentionality. And the text tells us that to achieve deep work and real mastery, we have to adopt that exact same mindset. You're no longer just a passive worker sitting at a desk. You are an engineer. Your environment is your raw material, and you're being tasked with molding it specifically for deep, uninterrupted thought. Section 1, the friction of choice. Now, why is all this engineering so necessary? Well, our text points to a really subtle, almost invisible force that drains our mental energy before we even start working. It's called the friction of choice. Think about it. Every single time you have to decide whether to check your phone, which tab to open, or even just where to find a pen on a cluttered desk, you're making a micro decision. These constant, lingering choices act as a massive friction that just drags against your momentum. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast our source text lays out for us. On one side, we have chaotic spaces. These are environments absolutely filled with that friction of choice we just talked about, spaces that pull our attention in a dozen different directions. But look at the alternative. The ultimate goal, the text declares, is transforming that chaos into high-output sanctuaries. Just let that phrase sink in for a second. A sanctuary, a sacred, protected space where the only possible outcome is high-quality output. It directly pits the exhaustion of a chaotic space against the immense relief and productivity of a true sanctuary. To actually cross that gap, though, from chaos to sanctuary, the text is extremely clear. It requires action in the real world. We're talking about re-engineering our physical surroundings. This isn't just some mental exercise, right? It's not about just changing your attitude or trying to meditate your way into better focus. The source demands a literal, physical re-engineering of your space to remove this exact friction. You have to move things. You have to hide things. You physically have to remove the items that cause the friction of choice. It's a totally hands-on requirement to manipulate the objects around you until that friction simply ceases to exist. Section 2, purging digital distractions. All right, it's time to roll up our sleeves because we're entering the tactical, action-oriented phase of our blueprint. The demolition is over, and it's time to clear the site. The text doesn't suggest merely managing or reducing distractions. It commands us to start enforcing focus. So how do we actually do this? The source gives us this concrete two-step narrative for reconstructing our workflow. Step 1, purge digital distractions. That means shutting down the endless notifications, the extra monitors flashing with emails, the phone buzzing on the edge of the desk. You just eliminate the noise entirely. Then, step 2, strategically position essential tools. You don't just clear the desk, you deliberately place the exact items you need for the task at hand right within arm's reach. You are literally reconstructing your workflow in physical space. If you need a specific reference book, boom, it's right there. If you don't need your phone, it's in another room. This foundational layout is exactly what sets the stage for everything that follows. Section 3, building your focus fortress. Let's move to and see how this builds into something incredibly tangible. Because once you've purged the distractions and positioned your tools, you aren't just cleaning a desk anymore. You're actively constructing something powerful, something that fundamentally shields your attention from the outside world. The text calls this newly engineered space a fortress of deep focus, and I really want you to lean into this architectural metaphor with me. Think about what a fortress actually is. It's got thick walls, it's designed for defense, and it keeps unwanted invaders out. By purging those digital distractions and perfectly positioning your tools, you've built a protective, engineered barrier for your attention. The High Output Sanctuary isn't just a nice place to sit, it is a fortified stronghold where your concentration is actively protected from the chaos of the outside world. Notice the incredible shift in power the text describes here. This tactical overhaul ensures our environment dictates our mastery. What's really interesting about this is that we're actually purposefully surrendering control to a physical system that we designed ourselves. Instead of waking up and just hoping you have the willpower to achieve mastery today, you let the environment make the decision for you. You've designed the space so perfectly that the space itself demands mastery from you. You step into the fortress and the fortress takes over, guiding you seamlessly right into deep work.
Section 4. Automated Discipline by Design.
Which brings us to the final and honestly most profound architectural achievement of this entire overhaul. This is where the struggle ends, and a calm, resolute productivity takes over. When your environment dictates your behavior, you reach a state that's almost magical, yet entirely grounded in the physical reality you've just built. I want to just sit with this quote from the text for a moment because it is the absolute pinnacle of this explainer, turning discipline into an automated, inevitable byproduct of design. So the crucial point is this. True discipline isn't something you force through grueling willpower. If you're relying on sheer willpower to ignore your phone or stop checking emails, you're going to eventually exhaust yourself. True discipline, according to our blueprint, is a structural byproduct. Because you designed the space to eliminate the friction of choice, because you built the fortress, discipline happens automatically. It's inevitable. It is simply the natural result of existing within the architecture you've engineered. I want to leave you by asking this one final provocative question derived directly from everything we've just learned. When you sit down to work tomorrow, look at the space around you and ask yourself honestly, does your environment dictate your mastery, or does it dictate your distraction? The blueprint is in your hands. You have the power to be the architect. It's time to start building. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to unpack the ideas that shape our world.